All right, welcome back, friends. In this video, I'm going to answer the question, what is the best journal to use for a 100-day creative project? As those of you in my classes know, the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to shop in my closet. So I'm going to take you through some of my favorite journals, give you the pros and cons of each one, and hopefully this will help guide you to making a really great selection for which journal would work for you in a 100-day creative project. So let's dive in. So these were all journals that I had in my closet, and some of them I have completed. They're my favorites, and some of them are brand new, just longing for a project such as this. So I'm going to start with, this is a beautiful one. It's got a leather cover. Was given to me in a Secret Santa exchange. So Heidi, thank you very much for this. And this one looks like it would be a good contender. What I like about it for a 100-day project, it looks like it has more than 100 pages, so that would be fantastic. It's got two little pockets and a little place here where I could slip in maybe a printout of, let's say I was going to use 100 words to letter for the project. I could tuck that in here. The paper is beautiful. So it feels like it is some type of handmade, maybe 100% cotton. It's really delightful. I have no idea who made this or where it came from. So that would be the one thing I was like, I'd have to do a little testing at the back to know for sure. So a couple boxes that make the positives are it's small and portable. The other thing is, how do the pages kind of lay? So these first few, you're going to have to encourage them to open a little bit better. I would have to test to see if my markers and pens would bleed through the paper. Not a deal breaker at all, but I might want to, if there was some bleeding through, I would probably just cut a little piece of cardboard or another sheet of paper I could slip under when I was working on it. And I would definitely count the pages to see if I could do work on just one side of this journal. So definitely this is, I would say this one's a maybe. So if you have some precious journal in your little, if you have a precious journal in your stash, you might take it out and see if the 100-day project might be a great way to get started in that. So this one is quite beautiful. I've had it for a few years and just haven't used it yet. So it might make a good travel journal as well. So this is an unnamed journal, but definitely has potential. Next up is, oh, this one's a lovely Handbook Journal Company Watercolor journal. This is one of my favorite brands. I absolutely adore these. This one is, it has linen on the cover. There are 60 pages of soft white, acid-free, 95-pound watercolor paper in this journal. So 60 pages. Wouldn't be enough for a whole 100 days. So we've got a little math there. But look at the size of this journal. So this is definitely a contender because with the number of pages that are in it, you could actually just do 4 smaller squares and just go ahead and draw them and just do smaller artwork for your 100-day project. So that would work out fantastic in this one. So you'd have more than enough. So if you had 4 on each page, that would really give you a substantial amount. It'd be a really compact journal to work in. Lovely. Oh, has a little pocket at the back so you could slip your list of words or your content in there. One of the other things I do love about this is it has a little space in the front where you can put your name and the dates, and it also tells you what the journal is. So this is a fantastic one. I've never used this size before. This is this one's the 8 1/4 by 8 1/4 inch. I have used a similar style. I've done the little skinny one. So this is also watercolor paper. And those of you that watched the other video of my successful 100-day projects will recognize this is the exact journal that I used when I did the 100 days of doodle inspiration. So this one, these were the 5.5 by 8.5 inch ones. So I am familiar with this paper. I love them. So this is the 95 pound and the other's the 140. But if you do this and you're using watercolor, I would encourage you to get the watercolor version of this journal. So that's definitely one. So you, instead of having two journals, you could just divide those pages and have one book to work in. This is one of the Moleskine art collection sketchbook. So it's not watercolor paper. It's 111 pounds, and it looks like it might take a little bit of water, but it's not going to take a full watercolor treatment. So if you're doing something with pencil or pen and ink, this would be lovely. This paper is really nice to work on. And let's check the back. It has 104 pages. So this one is really fantastic. Make sure you look for the art collection. And it's a really nice size as well. Now here's a pro tip. Just because when you purchase this journal, it's a portrait layout, that does not mean you have to keep it that way. So you could flip it and use it in this manner. I have a friend who did the 100-day project, and it was a little smaller one than this, and she actually cut the pages in half, so it was really interesting. So you could kind of flip them and see different things at different times. So you can also rotate your journals, so don't be held to just the having it in the orientation that it came. This one also has a little pocket at the back. Love that so much. And they're suggesting it's a sketch grade paper, stands up to eraser use. So they're suggesting drawing pencils, pens, pastels, fountain pens, and markers. So yeah, if you want to do watercolor, I would get a specific watercolor journal for that process. So this is one of my favorites. I have not worked in this large one, but I love the Strathmore paper. This is the 400 series, so it's a little bit better than the 300. This one has 48 pages, so might be a little tight. You'd have to kind of figure out what you want to do, but the pages, this is a very generous size, so you could definitely subdivide. You might even do 6 little tinies if you wanted to just divide this one up. Absolutely love this one. Has one of the best flat lays of all the journals. It doesn't have the little bookmark, but I really enjoy it. It comes in a soft cover, and so it does get little marks and stuff, so it gets a little worn look on the front when you've used it. And this one is the 7.75 by 9.75, so almost that 8 by 10 format, kind of like the 7 by 10 Cansons we work on. Here it is in the 8 by 5, and so you can see this one. I use so much water in it. See, the pages did curve a bit, but it was just absolute delight to work in this. So it takes your watercolor or your inks really, really well. So highly recommend. Soft cover. It also comes in a hard cover. And so you can see this one, again, I used a lot of water in it, so it did have a little bit of a curve to it as it dried out. But this one's not watercolor paper, but it took a lot of ink and markers really well. So Strathmore, those are going to serve you really well. So if you're looking for that journal form factor. The other just workhorses, these are just go-tos. Let's say you don't want to spend, $25 on one of the bound journals. Well, these are my favorite go-to in the wire bound. This one is a smaller form factor, which is great for the 100-day project. This one is exactly the size of the 100-day playbook that I put together, so the art in there is perfectly sized for this small journal. So this is the Grumbacher. There's 60 sheets, so you would need a couple of these or to subdivide the pages. It's a mixed media, so it's going to take your water really well, and if you're just doing markers in it. One of the things about this style, look for these. These are called the in and out pages. So you can take the sheet out, you can work on it, and then you can put it back in. So for instance, let's say we wanted to work on these little Christmas trees. As it comes out, these are not damaged. And so then when you finish, you can just tuck these back in, or if you wanted to then trim this down and place it into another type of holder, you could do that as well. So this is the Grumbacher mixed media. So I'll give you an idea for using that. I found this on Amazon. Let's say you work in these and you're like, oh, I really want to put it in something else to keep it. This was a little, you can look for photo holders. So this one, I took a page out of the mixed media and trimmed it down to fit in here. It's almost a 4x5. And I thought that would be really nice because there are 25 of these little holder pages. So that means this is perfectly sized for a 100-day project because you can do 2 on the front and 2 on the back. That would slip in here perfectly. This could also hold, these are some index cards that I had. I told y'all I was shopping in my closet to find things to do a 100-day project on. So with the index cards, you could keep them in one of the little containers. You could also, these are great for a 100-day project if you're doing a pen and ink or a pencil type project. You can get index cards. These are 3x5s. You can get them in with a dot grid. They also come in, let's see, you can also get just a regular grid. They also come blank or with the lines on them. And they're a little bit small for this, but you could probably find a smaller holder for that. I love this to be able to collect my art and then flip through. It is so absolutely satisfying. So this is another option. This would be a great idea if you're mobile and you kind of have to create on the go. That's what I did in several of my 100-day projects. I always like to have something I could take with me. So with this, you could have some pages already in it and then do your project on the go. So this one, the paper in there was from the Grumbacher. And then finally, not a journal, but these two, these are just, we use these in pretty much almost every class that I teach. These are my favorites. They're a 7x10. It's the Canson mixed media. The 2 different versions, you have the 98-pound and the 114-pound. So if you know you're doing a lot of watercolor, you might opt for the 114-pound. It's called the Mixed Media Rough. And it's still very smooth. It's going to take your pens very nicely. The thing about these are very affordable. They might be $10 or $11. Sometimes you can get a bundle of 2. They have 60 pages in them, so it would take a couple of these for your 100-day project. But it's a really nice, so if you're thinking about doing something that's a little larger form factor, these are just great to work in. We've used these in Creative Meditative Flow. We use them as our practice journal and Journal Jumpstart. Really fantastic paper. So you don't have to get super fancy, but I do recommend you think through what is the container going to be for your 100-day project, and also think of what size you want to work on. So these are all just some fantastic options for you. Hope this was helpful, and I look forward to your 100-day project. So if you need some help organizing your project, go ahead and check. There's a link in the description for additional resources, blog posts. There's the 100-day playbook is linked below this video, so check those out.